Hey there, friends. Welcome to a super cool story time where we're going to travel back hundreds of years to a place full of secrets, shadows, and sneaky people called assassins. Tonight, we're exploring a topic called why it sucked to be a medieval assassin. That means we're going to imagine living in a time when castles stood tall, knights rode horses, and some people had to hide in the dark to do dangerous jobs. This isn't just a boring list of facts like you might read in a school book. Oh no. We're going to jump right into this world. You'll feel like you're holding a sharp knife, smelling the wet stones of a dark alley, and hearing the quiet whispers of people making secret plans. It's going to be like stepping into a movie, but one you can imagine in your head as you listen. Before we start, here's something fun to do. If you like stories that feel real and exciting, give this video a big thumbs up. It helps us make more adventures like this. Also, click the subscribe button so you don't miss our next trip to a faraway time or place. And in the comments, tell me where you're listening from, like your bedroom, your living room, or maybe even a car. Also, what time is it where you are? Is it bedtime, or are you sneaking in a story before dinner? Okay, now find a cozy spot. Maybe grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and let's dive into this shadowy world of a medieval assassin. We're not just learning about history, we're feeling the heartbeat of fear, the quiet of hiding, and the struggle to stay alive. Imagine you're in a city from long ago, way back in the medieval times. That's a fancy word for the years around 500 to 1500, when people lived very differently from us. There were no cars, no phones, no electric lights. Instead, there were bumpy stone roads, wooden carts, and candles that flickered in the dark. This city is busy, noisy, and a little stinky. Picture walking out of your house and hearing all kinds of sounds. There's a loud clang from a blacksmith hitting metal to make a sword. Somewhere nearby, a horse clops along the street, its hooves tapping on the stones. You hear people shouting, like kids calling to their friends or grown-ups selling apples and bread. It's a bit like when your school cafeteria gets super loud during lunch, with everyone talking and moving at once. Now take a big sniff. What do you smell? The air is full of different scents. There's a whiff of fresh bread from a bakery, warm and crusty. But there's also a damp, earthy smell, like when you step in a puddle after it rains. That's because the streets are often wet and muddy. Sometimes you catch a sour smell, like old milk, from a pile of garbage in an alley. And if you walk near a stable, you might smell hay and horses. This city is alive, and every smell tells a story about the people who live here. It's not always nice, but it's real, and it makes you feel like you're really there. Let's talk about where you live in this city. You're not a king or a queen, and you don't have a big house. You're an assassin, someone who has to stay hidden and quiet. Your home is a tiny room above a noisy tavern, which is like a restaurant where people eat and drink. Your room is small, with just enough space for a bed made of straw. It's not soft like your mattress at home, it's lumpy and scratchy, like sleeping on a pile of dry grass. The walls are made of wood, and they creak when the wind blows. There's one small window, but it's covered with a thin cloth to keep out the cold. At night, you light a candle and its tiny flame dances, making shadows on the walls. It's cozy in a way, but also lonely because you can't tell anyone who you really are. Being an assassin means you have a secret job. You don't build houses or grow food like other people. Your job is to sneak around and do things that nobody can know about. Sometimes that means taking out bad guys who are hurting others, but it's not like being a superhero. It's scary, dangerous, and you're always looking over your shoulder. Imagine playing hide and seek, but if someone finds you, you could get in big trouble. That's what it's like every day for an assassin. You wear a dark cloak, kind of like a big hoodie, to blend into the shadows. You carry a small knife called a dagger tucked into your belt. It's sharp and cold, and just touching it makes your heart beat faster. Why does it suck to be an assassin? Well, let's think about it. First, you're always scared. Every time you walk down the street, you wonder if someone knows your secret. Maybe that man selling apples is watching you too closely. Maybe the woman carrying a basket heard something she shouldn't have. You can't trust anyone, not even your friends, because telling the wrong person could mean getting caught. It's like keeping a huge secret at school, but instead of just feeling embarrassed, you could lose everything. That fear sits in your stomach like a heavy rock, making it hard to relax or smile. Another reason it's tough is that you're alone a lot. Assassins don't have big families or lots of friends. You can't go to parties or chat with neighbors because you have to stay hidden. Imagine if you couldn't tell anyone about your favorite game or what you did over the weekend. That's how an assassin lives. You spend nights in your tiny room, listening to the laughter from the tavern below, wishing you could join in. Sometimes you dream about a different life, one where you could be a baker or a farmer with people who know your name and like you. But that's not your path, and that makes your heart feel heavy. Let's walk through the city some more, because it helps you understand why this job is so hard. The streets are narrow, like hallways in a school, but they're twisty and crowded. You pass by shops with wooden signs hanging outside, showing pictures of shoes or bread because most people can't read. There are kids running around, chasing a ball made of rags. You see a woman carrying a bucket of water from a well, her arms strong from years of work. Everyone is busy, and that's good for you because it means nobody notices you slipping through the crowd. You move quietly, keeping your head down, your cloak pulled tight. Sometimes you stop to listen. You hear all kinds of stories in the city. People talk about the Lord who lives in the big castle on the hill. He's like the boss of everyone, and his guards walk around in shiny armor, making sure nobody causes trouble. But you know secrets about the Lord, things nobody else knows. Maybe he's planning something bad, and that's why someone hired you. Or maybe someone else wants his power and you're part of their plan. Either way, you don't ask too many questions. You just do your job, even though it makes you feel nervous inside. Let's imagine you're getting ready for a mission. That's what assassins call their secret jobs. You sit in your room, sharpening your dagger with a stone. The sound is soft, like scratching a pencil on paper, but it's steady and it calms you. You check your tools, a small bottle of dark liquid, a rope, and a cloth to cover your face. Each one has a purpose, and you've practiced using them so many times. But no matter how ready you are, your hands shake a little. You know tonight will be dangerous. You might have to climb a wall, sneak past guards, or run if something goes wrong. It's like playing a game where the stakes are super high and losing isn't an option. As you get ready, you think about why you became an assassin. Maybe you didn't have a choice. Maybe you grew up poor with no family and this was the only way to survive. Or maybe you were trained by someone older, someone who taught you how to move silently and strike quickly. Whatever the reason, it's your life now and you can't escape it. That thought makes you feel trapped, like a bird in a cage, flapping its wings but never flying free. You open your eyes and the world feels heavy, like you're waking from a dream you can't quite remember. A loud clang echoes in the distance, sharp and clear, like someone dropped a big metal pot. It's the blacksmith down the street, hammering iron to shape a sword or a horseshoe. The sound bounces off the stone walls of the city, waking you up even though you're so tired. Then you hear a low growl, rough and scratchy, coming from the alley below your window. It's dogs sniffing through piles of trash, looking for scraps of food. Their paws scuff against the ground, making a soft, scraping noise like when you drag your sneakers on a sidewalk. These sounds mix together, filling the air, telling you the city is already awake, even if you wish you could sleep longer. You take a deep breath and the air feels thick, like it's holding onto every smell. There's a sour whiff, sharp and tangy, like when you leave juice out too long. That's the ale from the tavern downstairs, where people drink and laugh late into the night. Mixed with it is a damp, earthy scent, like wet grass after a rainy day. It comes from the straw on your floor, which is always a little soggy because the roof leaks sometimes. The smells aren't nice, but they're familiar, like the way your classroom smells after a long day of kids and crayons. They tell you you're in your tiny room, high above the noisy tavern in a city from long ago called the medieval times. Your bed isn't soft like the one at home, with fluffy pillows and warm blankets. It's just a big sack stuffed with straw, lumpy and prickly, like sleeping on a pile of crunchy leaves. Every time you move, the straw crinkles and the wooden floor beneath it creaks, loud enough to make you worry someone might hear. The bed is on a rough frame, wobbly and old, and it never feels comfortable. You're an assassin, someone with a secret job, and resting is hard when you're always listening for danger. Sleep is like a treasure you can't quite grab because your mind is always racing, thinking about the next mission or who might be watching you. You sit up and the cold air nips at your skin, like when you step outside on a chilly morning. The room is small, barely bigger than a closet, with walls made of wood that look worn and splintery. There's a tiny window, just a square cut in the wall, covered with a thin cloth that flaps when the wind sneaks in. The cloth is gray and tattered, letting in a sliver of pale morning light that makes the room feel dim and shadowy. You light a candle sometimes, but not now. It's too early and candles cost money you don't have. The floor is covered with straw to keep it warm, but it's messy and bits of it stick to your clothes. There's a wooden stool in one corner, wobbly like your bed, and a small chest where you keep your things. That's it. No fancy decorations, no cozy rug, just a plain, lonely space that feels more like a hiding spot than a home. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, and the floor groans under your feet like it's complaining about being stepped on. You're already thinking about the day ahead because being an assassin means you can't relax. You reach for your cloak, a big piece of wool that's heavy and rough like a scratchy blanket. It's dark brown, almost black, with edges that are frayed like the ends of an old rope. You've worn it so many times, hiding in dark corners or slipping through crowds, that it feels like part of you. You pull it over your shoulders and it settles around you, making you feel a little safer, like when you wrap up in a hoodie on a cold day. The cloak hides your face if you pull up the hood, and that's important because nobody can know who you are. Next, you grab your dagger. It's a small knife, not much bigger than a pencil, but it's sharp and cold, with a handle made of wood that's smooth from being held so often. You slide it into your belt, careful not to let it clink against the metal buckle. The dagger is your tool, your protection, and sometimes your only friend. Just touching it makes your heart beat a little faster, like when you're about to take a big test at school. You know you might need it today, and that thought makes your stomach feel tight, like you swallowed a pebble. Being an assassin means always being ready, even when you're scared. You stand up and stretch, your muscles stiff from the hard bed. The room feels cramped, like you're in a box that's too small. You glance at the chest in the corner where you keep a few things: a rope for climbing, a tiny bottle of dark liquid you don't talk about, and a cloth to cover your face on missions. Each one has a job, and you check them every day, like making sure you have all your school supplies before class. But these aren't pencils or notebooks. They're tools for a dangerous life, and you can't make mistakes. You close the chest and take a deep breath, trying to push away the nervous feeling that's always there. Now it's time to step outside. You open the door and it squeaks loud and whiny like a rusty gate. A narrow staircase leads down to the tavern, but you're not going there yet. Instead, you peek out the window, pulling back the cloth to see the street below. The city is awake, buzzing with life, like a playground full of kids at recess. You see merchants, people who sell things, shouting about their goods. One man holds up a sack of grain, waving it like a prize, while another offers shiny apples. Their voices are loud, mixing with the clatter of wooden carts rolling over the bumpy stones. A stray cat, skinny and gray, darts under a cart, chasing a crumb. Somewhere you hear laughter, rough and cheerful, spilling out of a doorway where men are drinking. The street is crowded, with people moving in every direction. There's a woman carrying a basket of bread, her apron dusty with flour. A boy runs by, barefoot, kicking a ball made of rags. A guard in shiny armor walks slowly, his sword swinging at his side, watching everyone. You pull back from the window, your heart beating fast. This city is alive, full of noise and motion, but for you it's a place of danger. Every shadow could hide someone who knows your secret. Every glance from a stranger feels like a question. Who are you? What are you hiding? You're an assassin, and that means you're never safe, not even in the bright morning light. You take one last look around your room, making sure everything is in place. The straw on the floor, the wobbly stool, the chest with your tools. It's not much, but it's yours. You pull your cloak tighter, adjust your dagger, and head for the door. The day is waiting, and so is the city with its noise, its smells, and its secrets. You're an assassin, and every step you take is a step into the unknown, where one wrong move could change everything. You step out of your tiny room, your cloak pulled tight around you, and take a deep breath. The morning air feels cool and damp, like when you walk outside after a rainy day. Your stomach grumbles, quiet but nagging, telling you it's time to eat. But first, you need water. In this medieval city, water doesn't come from a sink or a bottle like at home. You have to go get it yourself, and that's not as easy as it sounds. Now, you're an assassin, someone with a secret job, and every trip outside is a chance to get noticed. You grab a wooden bucket, small and scratched, with a rope handle that's rough against your hand. It swings as you hold it, creaking softly like a toy that's been used too many times. You head down the squeaky stairs from your room above the tavern, careful not to trip on the uneven steps. The tavern below is quiet now, but you can still smell the sour tang of ale, like old juice, lingering in the air. You push open the door and step into the street. The city is already awake, buzzing with life, like a school playground at recess. You hear a cart rattling over the bumpy stones, its wheels clattering like a toy car on a rough floor. Somewhere a woman shouts, selling apples, her voice sharp and clear. A dog barks, short and loud, chasing a cat that scurries under a pile of barrels. The sounds swirl around you, making the city feel big and busy, but also dangerous because you have to stay hidden. Your job is to get water from the well, a big stone circle in the middle of the town square. It's not far, but the walk feels long when you're trying not to stand out. You pull your hood up, letting the dark wool cover part of your face, like when you wear a hoodie to feel cozy. The well is where everyone goes, so it's always crowded, like the water fountain at school during a break. You start walking, keeping your head down, your bucket bumping against your leg. The street is narrow, with tall houses leaning over you, their wooden beams dark and worn. The ground is uneven, made of stones and dirt, and you have to watch your steps so you don't trip. As you walk, you notice the dangers all around. The stones are slick with mud, shiny and wet like a slide after it rains. One wrong step and you could slip, dropping your bucket and drawing eyes to you. You can't afford that. Nobody can know you're an assassin. You step carefully, placing your feet like you're playing a quiet game of hopscotch. Then there's the crowd. People push past you, their baskets and sacks brushing against your cloak. A man with a big beard carries a pile of firewood, his boots stomping loudly. A girl runs by, giggling, chasing a friend. You weave through them, trying to be invisible, like a shadow moving across a wall. If someone bumps into you, they might feel the dagger hidden in your belt, and that would be bad. You hear voices, too, and they make you nervous. Two women stand near a shop, chatting about a guard who caught a thief last night. Their words are quick, like birds chirping, and you wonder if they're talking about someone like you. You keep moving, your heart beating a little faster, like when you're hiding in a game and someone's close to finding you. The square is just ahead, and you can see the well now, its stone edge worn smooth by years of hands and buckets. A line of people waits there, holding buckets or jugs, talking and laughing. You don't want to join them, but you need water to drink, to cook, to live. You take a deep breath and step closer, trying to look like everyone else. The well is deep, and the water inside looks dark and still, like a puddle that never moves. A wooden crank sits on top, with a rope wound around it, holding a bucket that dips into the water. You wait your turn, watching the others. A woman with a red scarf pulls up her bucket, the rope squeaking as it moves. Water splashes, sparkling in the morning light, and she smiles as she fills her jug. You wish you could feel that happy, but for you this is work, not fun. When it's your turn, you grab the crank, its wood rough under your hands like an old broom handle. You turn it slowly, feeling the weight of the bucket as it rises. The rope groans and water sloshes, making a soft, gurgling sound like a stream over rocks. You pull the bucket up and cold water spills over the edge, wetting your hands. It's icy like touching snow and it makes your fingers tingle. You pour the water into your own bucket, careful not to spill too much. The bucket feels heavier now, pulling at your arm like carrying a big stack of books. You glance around, checking for trouble. A guard stands nearby, his armor shiny, his eyes scanning the crowd. You turn away, keeping your face hidden, and start walking back to your room. The crowd is thicker now, with more people heading to the market. You dodge a man pushing a cart full of cabbages, its wheels squeaking. A boy bumps into you and you freeze, worried he felt your dagger. He just laughs and runs off, but your heart pounds like you're running a race. Back at the tavern, you climb the stairs, the bucket sloshing with every step. You set it down in your room next to your small wooden table. Now it's time for food, but that's another challenge. You don't have a kitchen like at home with a fridge full of snacks. Food is hard to get, and you have to be smart about it. You grab a small cloth bag and head to the market, hoping to buy something simple. The market is loud, like a festival, with merchants shouting about their goods. You see tables piled with bread, round and crusty, like big muffins. There's cheese, pale and crumbly, and apples, red and shiny. The smells mix together: warm bread, sharp cheese, sweet fruit, making your stomach growl louder. You approach a merchant, an old man with a gray beard selling bread. He holds up a loaf, saying it's fresh, baked this morning. You nod, keeping your voice low, and hand him a small coin, round and heavy like a big penny. He gives you the bread wrapped in a cloth and you tuck it into your bag. You buy a piece of cheese, too hard and dry, but it'll last a few days. The merchant smiles, but you don't smile back. You can't let anyone remember you. You slip through the crowd, heading back to your room, the bag clutched tight like a treasure you're protecting. You sit on a wobbly stool in your tiny room, the air cool and heavy like a basement on a cloudy day. Your hands hold a small, sharp knife, your dagger, its blade glinting in the dim light from a candle. The dagger is your most important tool, like a favorite pencil you use for every drawing. But this isn't for fun, it's for your job as an assassin, a secret worker who moves in the shadows. You set the dagger on a wooden table, scratched and wobbly, and pick up a wet stone, a flat, gray rock that's smooth but heavy, like a big eraser. You need to make the dagger sharp, so you start your work, and it's not easy. You slide the whetstone along the blade, slow and careful, making a soft scraping noise, like when you rub sandpaper on wood. The sound is steady, like a quiet song, and it fills the room. Your hands move back and forth, and you feel your muscles tight, like when you carry a heavy backpack to school. Sharpening the dagger takes effort, and tiny sparks flicker off the blade, sparkling like fireflies before they disappear. You press harder, and a thin layer of sweat forms on your forehead, warm and sticky, like after running in gym class. This work makes you tired, but you can't stop. A dull dagger is dangerous. It won't help you if you need it, and as an assassin, you always need to be ready. You pause for a moment, wiping your brow with the back of your hand. The candle on the table flickers, its flame dancing, casting shadows that wiggle on the wooden walls. The room smells of wax and straw, a mix of warm and earthy like a barn with fresh hay. You look at the dagger, its edge now shiny and sharp like the point of a new crayon. You test it with your thumb, gentle so you don't cut yourself, and it feels smooth and ready. This tool is part of you, like a baseball glove for a player, but it's not for games. It's for missions, secret tasks that make your heart race, like hiding in a game where getting caught is the worst thing ever. Next, you grab a rope, coiled like a big snake, its fibers rough and scratchy, like a jump rope that's been used too much. You check it for weak spots, running your fingers along its length, feeling for frays or bumps. The rope is important. You might need it to climb a wall or escape a tight spot. You tug it hard, your arms straining, like pulling a heavy sled in the snow. It holds strong, and you nod, satisfied. You coil it again, neat and tight, and tuck it into a small leather bag, soft but worn like an old backpack. Every move you make is careful because mistakes can't happen in your job. It's like doing homework that you have to get perfect every single time. Your hands are busy, but your mind is too. You think about why you're doing this. Being an assassin isn't just about sneaking or fighting, it's about being ready always. Every scrape of the whetstone, every tug of the rope is part of a bigger plan. You're not just sharpening a knife, you're sharpening yourself, making sure you can survive another day. It's hard and it makes your body ache, like after a long day of playing outside. But it's not just your body that's tired. Your heart feels heavy too because you're alone in this work, like being on a team where nobody knows your name. You stand up, stretching your arms, and the floor creaks under your feet like an old swing set. You need to practice moving because an assassin has to be quick and quiet. You step to the wall where a wooden beam sticks out, rough and splintery like a tree branch. You grab it and pull yourself up, your muscles working hard like climbing the monkey bars at recess. Your hands grip tight and your feet find small cracks in the wall, tiny but enough to hold you. You move up, slow and steady, your breath coming fast like after a race. This is training, making your body strong and your mind sharp so you can climb a real wall later, maybe to sneak into a castle or escape a guard. You drop back to the floor, landing soft like a cat, so the noise is just a whisper. Your legs feel wobbly, but you shake them out and try again. Each climb makes you better, but it also makes you sweat and your shirt sticks to your back, damp and cool. You think about the city outside, full of people doing their own work. They're part of this place like pieces in a puzzle, and you're a piece too, but one that doesn't quite fit. You're an assassin, and your work is hidden like a secret note passed in class. You step to the window, pulling back the thin cloth that covers it, and peek outside. The street below is alive, like a busy ant hill. You see a blacksmith, his hammer banging on red-hot iron, sending sparks flying like tiny stars. His arms are strong and his face is red from the heat, like he's been running. He's making a horseshoe, round and heavy, and the clang of his hammer is loud, echoing through the street. Nearby, a woman kneads dough, her hands covered in flour, white and powdery like chalk dust. She shapes loaves of bread, big and crusty, and the smell drifts up, warm and yeasty, like a bakery at home. These people work hard just like you, but their jobs are open, not secret. They can laugh and talk while you have to stay quiet like a mouse in a house full of cats. You see a boy carrying a basket of fish, shiny and silver, their smell sharp and salty like the ocean. He calls out, trying to sell them, his voice high and quick like a bird singing. A guard walks by, his armor clinking like a bag of coins, and his sword swings at his side, long and heavy. He's watching the crowd, making sure everyone behaves, and you duck back, your heart thumping like a drum in your chest. These people are part of the city's rhythm, a big, endless beat that keeps going day after day. You're part of it too, but your beat is different, quieter, hidden in the shadows. Their work makes the city strong, but yours keeps it safe or sometimes changes it in ways nobody can see. You turn back to your table, picking up a small cloth, soft and worn like an old towel. You wipe the dagger, making sure it's clean, and the cloth slides over the blade, smooth and easy. This work feels personal, like drawing a picture you're proud of. Every tool you touch, every move you practice is part of who you are. You're not just surviving, you're building something, even if it's just another day of staying alive. But it's hard, and sometimes you wish you could be like the blacksmith or the baker, with work that's loud and proud, not silent and secret. You step into the street, your cloak pulled tight, and look up. High above, a big cloth banner flaps in the breeze, hanging from the tall stone wall of the castle. The banner is bright red, with a black wolf painted on it, its teeth sharp and scary, like a dog you wouldn't pet. This wolf is the sign of the Lord who rules the city, the man in charge of everyone, like a principal at school, but much stricter. The banner moves gently, making a soft rustling sound like leaves in a tree, and it reminds you that the Lord is always watching, even when you can't see him. You're an assassin, someone with a secret job, and that banner makes your stomach feel tight, like when you're called to the principal's office. The castle sits on a hill, its walls gray and strong, like a giant pile of rocks that nobody could break. At the top, more banners wave, their colors bright against the cloudy sky. You see them from almost everywhere in the city, and they're not just pretty, they're a message. They say, "Obey the Lord or you'll be in trouble." You walk past a square and there's a statue, carved from stone, standing tall in the middle. It's the Lord, or maybe his father, dressed in armor, holding a sword that points to the ground. The statue's face is hard, with deep lines, like it's frowning at everyone. Kids run around it, playing, but you don't smile. That statue feels like it's watching you, and you pull your hood lower, hiding your face, like when you don't want a teacher to notice you. The city is full of these signs of power. On the walls of big buildings, you see wooden signs with the wolf painted on them, smaller but just as fierce. Even the guards wear the wolf on their clothes, stitched in black thread like a badge that says they work for the Lord. The guards are everywhere, walking in pairs, their boots thumping on the cobblestone streets, loud and steady like a drum. Their armor clinks, a jingling noise like a pocket full of coin, and their swords hang at their sides, long and shiny. You see one guard stop to talk to a merchant, his voice deep and bossy, like a coach giving orders. You keep walking, head down, because a guard's glance could mean trouble for someone like you. Living here means following rules, and there are a lot of them. You can't stay out late because the Lord says the streets close at night. If you're caught, the guards might lock you in a dark cell, cold and damp, like a basement with no windows. You can't talk bad about the Lord either or his helpers. If you do, you might get a fine, which means giving up your coins, or worse, you could be whipped, a punishment that hurts a lot, like getting hit with a stick. Everyone knows these rules, and they make the city feel heavy, like when you're in a classroom where the teacher is super strict. You're an assassin, so you break some rules, but you have to be sneaky, like taking an extra cookie when nobody's looking. If you're caught, it's not just a timeout, it could be the end. You hear whispers as you walk through the market, voices soft and quick like mice scurrying. Two women stand by a table piled with apples, their heads closed together, talking fast. One says a knight was sent to the dungeon, a dark jail under the castle, because he didn't follow the Lord's orders. The other woman nods, her eyes wide, like she's hearing a scary story. You slow down, pretending to look at a basket of bread, but really you're listening. The women say the knight tried to help a rival, someone who wanted to take the Lord's place. Now he's gone and nobody knows if he'll come back. You move on, your heart beating fast like after a race, because stories like that make you nervous. You're an assassin, and your job sometimes involves those kinds of secrets. The market is busy with people buying and selling, their voices loud and cheerful like a school cafeteria at lunch. But even here, the Lord's power is strong. A guard stands at the corner watching everyone, his hand on his sword, ready to act. A man selling fish shouts his prices, but he keeps his voice polite when the guard looks his way. Nobody wants trouble. You see a boy, maybe your age, carrying a heavy sack of grain for a merchant. He trips and the sack falls, spilling yellow grains on the ground. The guard steps closer, frowning, and the boy scrambles to pick it up, his face red, like he's scared of getting yelled at. You turn away because starring might make the guard notice you, and you can't let that happen. You slip into an alley, narrow and shadowy, where the buildings lean close, like they're whispering to each other. The air smells damp, like wet dirt, and the ground is slick with mud, shiny and smooth, like a slide after rain. Here, away from the guards, you hear more stories. A man in a dark cloak, maybe a thief, talks to another in a low voice, their words quick and hushed, like a secret code. They mention a betrayal, someone who worked for the Lord but turned against him. The Lord's men found out, and now that person is gone, maybe locked away or worse. You don't stay long, you can't trust anyone, not even other sneaky people. You move on, your steps quiet, like a cat walking on a fence. Being an assassin means living with fear, like a shadow that follows you everywhere. You're always watching, always listening, because one mistake could ruin everything. You avoid the guards, taking different paths every day, like choosing a new way to walk home from school. If you see someone starring, you wonder if they know your secret, and your stomach twists, like when you think you forgot your homework. You can't tell anyone what you do, not a friend, not a neighbor, because even a whisper could reach the Lord's ears. It's like keeping a huge secret, but instead of feeling fun, it feels heavy, like carrying a big rock all the time. You think about the Lord, sitting in his castle, surrounded by helpers who do what he says. He's powerful, like a king in a story, but not always kind. You've heard he throws big feasts with tables full of food while some people in the city go hungry. You've never seen him, but you imagine him tall, with a stern face like the statue in the square. His power makes the city run, but it also makes it scary because nobody can say no to him. As an assassin, you work in his world, but you're not part of it. Sometimes you're hired to stop someone who's against him, or maybe someone who works for him. Either way, you're in danger, like walking on a thin branch that could snap. You pass another banner hanging over a shop, its wolf staring down. The cloth is worn with frayed edges like an old towel, but it still feels strong like the Lord himself. You wonder what it's like to have that kind of control to make everyone listen. But then you think about your own life, always hiding, always scared. Power might be nice, but it comes with enemies, and you know that better than anyone. You keep walking, your cloak blending into the crowd, your heart steady but alert, like a rabbit in a field full of foxes. You slip through the city, your cloak hiding you in the early evening shadows. The streets are quieter now, with fewer carts rattling and merchants shouting. You're an assassin, someone with a secret job, and you move carefully like a mouse avoiding a cat. But tonight, you're not on a mission. You're heading to a place where people gather not to talk or trade, but to pray. In this medieval city, praying is a big deal, like a school assembly where everyone is quiet and serious. You don't always join in because your job makes you feel different, but you watch. And sometimes you feel something deep inside, like a whisper in your heart. You turn down a narrow street where the houses lean close, their wooden beams dark and old, like a forest of giant trees. At the end, you see a stone building, tall and wide, with a pointy roof that reaches for the sky. It's a church, the biggest one in the city, where people come to talk to God. The walls are gray, smooth in some places, but bumpy in others, like a rock you'd find by a river. A big wooden door stands at the front, carved with pictures of angels, their wings spread wide like birds ready to fly. You don't go inside yet, you stay outside watching, because an assassin has to be careful, even in a holy place. You hear a soft sound, like a faraway bell, tingling through the air, clear and gentle, like a wind chime on a porch. It's the church bell calling people to pray. The door creaks open and a few people walk in, their steps slow and quiet, like they're trying not to wake someone. You see a woman with a shawl, her hair tucked under a cloth, carrying a small candle, its flame tiny but bright, like a star in her hand. She lights it from another candle inside, and the glow makes her face look soft, like she's thinking of something kind. Another man, older, with a gray beard, holds a loaf of bread, crusty and round, like a big pancake. He'll leave it on a table inside, a gift for God, like leaving a snack for a friend. You move closer, staying in the shadows, and peek through a crack in the door. The air inside smells sweet, like flowers mixed with smoke, from incense burning in a metal holder shaped like a cup with holes. The incense makes a hazy cloud floating up to the ceiling like fog on a cool morning. You hear voices, low and steady like a lullaby, as people chant words you've heard before. They're praying, asking God to keep them safe, to help their families, or to forgive mistakes. The sound is calm, wrapping around you like a warm blanket on a cold night. You watch their faces, some looking up, some closed in thought, and you see hope in their eyes, like they believe everything will be okay. You pull back and walk around the church, your boots quiet on the cobblestones, smooth and cool under your feet. You find a smaller door hidden in the side and slip inside, careful not to make a sound. The church is big inside, with tall stone pillars like giant legs holding up the roof. Candles flicker everywhere, their light dancing on the walls, making shadows that wiggle like ghosts in a story. A priest stands at the front, wearing a long robe, white and soft, like a clean bedsheet. He raises his hands and the people answer, their voices rising like a choir singing a slow song. They're doing a ritual, a special way of talking to God, and it feels important, like a promise everyone shares. You stay near the back, half hidden behind a pillar, because you can't let anyone notice you. The air feels heavy, not just from the incense, but from the feeling in the room, like everyone's hearts are open. You see a boy younger than you kneeling on the stone floor, his hands pressed together like he's making a wish. He's praying, maybe for his sick mom or a good harvest, and his face looks serious, like he's working hard to be heard. You wonder what it's like to pray like that, to believe so much. As an assassin, you don't pray often. Your job makes you feel far from God, like you're standing outside a house you can't enter. You leave the church, stepping back into the cool evening, the bells still ringing softly, like a lullaby fading away. You walk to another part of the city, where the streets are twisty and dark, like a maze in a game. Here in a hidden corner, you find a different kind of ritual. A small wooden shrine, no bigger than a birdhouse, sits against a wall, carved with flowers and stars. A single candle burns in front of it, its flame small but steady, like a light you carry in the dark. A woman kneels there alone, her shawl slipping off her shoulders. She's praying not to God, but to a saint, someone holy who helps people, like a superhero from long ago. She places a tiny coin, round and shiny like a button, next to the candle, a gift to show she means her prayer. Her lips move, whispering, and you catch a few words, something about keeping her baby safe. Her face looks tired but strong, like she's carrying a heavy load but won't give up. You stay hidden, watching, and the air smells of wax and damp wood, sharp and clean like a forest after rain. This ritual is quieter than the church, but it feels just as real, like a secret shared with the night. You wonder if the saint hears her, if prayers really work, and it makes your chest feel tight, like when you're sad but don't know why. Being an assassin makes rituals hard for you. You've done things, dangerous things, secret things that make you feel far from holy places. Sometimes you sneak into the church, late at night when it's empty, and light a candle, small and wobbly like a hope you're afraid to hold. You don't say prayers out loud, but you think them, asking for forgiveness, or maybe just for a day without fear. It's like writing a note you never send, because you're not sure anyone's listening. Your job means hurting people, even if they're bad, and that weighs on you, like carrying a backpack full of rocks. You move away from the shrine, your steps soft, like walking on tiptoes. The city is full of beliefs, not just in God, but in smaller things like spirits or luck. You see a man hang a tiny bundle of herbs, green and leafy, over his door to keep bad spirits away, like a charm bracelet for his house. A girl ties a ribbon, red and bright, to a tree branch. Hopping it brings her good fortune, like blowing out birthday candles. These little rituals are everywhere, woven into the city like threads in a blanket, holding people together. But for you, they feel far away, like a song you can hear but not sing. You wake up in your tiny room, but something feels wrong. Your head is hot, like you've been sitting by a fire too long, and your throat scratches, like you swallowed sand. You're an assassin, someone with a secret job, and you can't afford to be sick. But today, your body isn't listening. You try to sit up, and your arms shake, weak and wobbly, like when you climb a rope in gym class and get tired. Your bed, a lumpy sack of straw, feels extra prickly, like sleeping on a pile of twigs. You take a deep breath, and the air smells stale, mixed with the sour whiff of old ale from the tavern below, like juice gone bad. You touch your forehead, and it's warm, like a cup of hot cocoa, but not in a good way. Your heart beats fast, like a rabbit running, because being sick in this medieval city is dangerous. There are no hospitals or pharmacies like at home, no soft beds or sweet medicine. If you're sick, you have to find help, and that means leaving your safe room, even though every step feels heavy, like carrying a big backpack full of books. You're scared because an assassin can't show weakness. If someone notices you're not strong, they might guess your secret, and that could be the end. You pull on your cloak, dark and rough, like a heavy blanket, and it feels heavier than usual, dragging on your shoulders. You slip your dagger into your belt, its handle smooth and cool, like a favorite toy you always carry. You don't want to go out, but you need a healer, someone who knows how to fix sick people. You think of an old woman who lives near the edge of the city, in a small hut full of plants and strange bottles. She's called an herb woman, like a doctor, but with leaves and roots instead of pills. You've seen her before, helping people with coughs or cuts, and you hope she can help you now. You step down the creaky stairs, each one groaning, like an old chair when you sit on it. The tavern is quiet, but the smell of smoke and bread lingers, sharp and warm like a campfire. You push open the door, and the morning air hits you cool and damp, like stepping outside after a rain. The city is waking up, with noises all around, carts clattering, people talking, a dog barking short and loud, like it's chasing something. You pull your hood up, hiding your face because you can't let anyone see you're sick. You walk slowly, your legs heavy, like you're trudging through mud. The streets are busy, like a school hallway before class, with people moving fast. A man pushes a cart of apples, red and shiny, his voice loud as he calls out prices. A woman carries a basket of cloth, her steps quick, like she's late. You see a guard, his armor jingling like a bag of coins, watching everyone with sharp eyes. You turn down a side street, narrow and twisty, where the houses are close, their wooden walls dark and splintery, like old fences. The ground is uneven, with stones and dirt, and you step carefully, because falling would be bad when you're already weak. You feel a cough coming, sharp and tickly like a feather in your throat. You cover your mouth with your cloak, muffling the sound, because a cough could make people stare. You keep moving past a shop with a sign shaped like a shoe, swinging gently like a toy on a string. The air smells of bread and smoke, but also something sour, like garbage left out too long. You're tired and your head hurts like a drum pounding inside, but you can't stop. You need to reach the herb woman's hut, and every step feels like a big effort, like climbing a hill with no end. Finally, you see the hut, small and made of wood, with a roof covered in moss, green and fuzzy like a soft carpet. Herbs hang from the eaves, tied in bundles, their leaves dry and crinkly like paper. The air smells strong, like mint, and something bitter, like medicine your mom gives you. You knock on the door, soft and quick, like tapping a desk. The door creaks open and the herb woman looks out, her face wrinkled like a crumpled piece of cloth, but her eyes are kind, like a teacher who wants to help. She sees you're sick and waves you inside, her voice low, like a whisper in a library. The hut is warm, with a fire crackling in a stone hearth, its flames dancing like tiny lights. Shelves line the walls, filled with jars and baskets, holding leaves, roots, and powders like a science kit for plants. The air is thick with scents, sharp herbs, sweet honey, earthy dirt mixing together like a garden in a bottle. A wooden table sits in the middle, covered with tools. A mortar, round and heavy like a bowl for grinding, a small knife, shiny and sharp like a pencil sharpener, and cloths, soft and clean like napkins. The herb woman points to a stool, wobbly but sturdy, and you sit, your body aching like after a long day of playing. She looks at you, touching your forehead with her hand, cool and rough, like a stone from a river. She says you have a fever, a sickness that makes you hot and tired, like running too long in the sun. She moves to her table, picking up a handful of leaves, green and dry, like tea bags without the bag. She crushes them in the mortar, the sound crunchy, like stepping on leaves in fall. She adds water, clear and cold, from a clay jug and mixes it, making a thick paste, green and sticky, like mud with a funny smell. She says it's a poultice, a special mix to help your fever, like a bandage but made of plants. She spreads the poultice on a cloth, soft and thin like a tissue, and presses it to your forehead. It's cold at first, like an ice pack, but then it stings, sharp and tingly like when you get soap in a cut. You flinch, your eyes watering, like when you stub your toe, but you stay still, because you know it's supposed to help. The herb woman talks softly, saying the herbs will pull the heat from your body, like draining water from a bucket. She gives you a cup of liquid, dark and bitter, like coffee but worse. You sip it and it tastes awful, like eating a sour leaf, but you swallow, because being strong is the only way to get better. The pain of the poultice and the bitter drink makes you clench your teeth, like biting an apple that's too hard. You want to cry but you don't, because an assassin can't show weakness even here. The herb woman watches, her eyes gentle, like she knows it hurts but believes you're tough. She wraps a cloth around your head, tying the poultice in place, and it feels heavy, like wearing a wet hat. She says to rest, but rest is hard when you're always worried, like waiting for a test you didn't study for. You sit in your small room, the air cool and quiet, like a classroom after everyone leaves. The straw on the floor crinkles under your feet like dry leaves, and a single candle flickers, its tiny flame dancing like a firefly in a jar. You're an assassin, someone with a secret job, and you don't have a family like most people in this medieval city. No mom to cook soup, no dad to fix things, no brothers or sisters to play with. Instead, your family is different, like a team you didn't choose, and they have rules you have to follow, just like everyone else in the city has their own jobs to do. Your closest thing to family is an old man named Grimm, your teacher, who trained you to be an assassin. He's not soft or cuddly like a grandpa. His voice is rough, like gravel crunching under boots, and his eyes are sharp, like a hawk watching for mice. Grimm lives in a hidden place, a dark room under a tavern, where the walls are damp, like a basement after rain, and the air smells of smoke and old leather, like a jacket left in a closet. He taught you how to hold a dagger, small and shiny, like a new pencil, and how to move without making a sound, like a cat sneaking through grass. Grimm expects you to be perfect, fast, quiet, and smart. If you make a mistake, he doesn't yell, but his frown feels heavy, like carrying a big rock, and you know you've let him down. Grimm's rules are strict, like a coach who makes you run extra laps. You have to practice every day, climbing walls or hiding in shadows until your arms ache, like after a long day of carrying books. You have to keep your secrets, never telling anyone what you do, like holding onto a note you can't share. And you have to be loyal, always doing what Grimm says, even if it's scary, like sneaking into a guarded house. These rules are your job, like how other kids in the city have chores, but yours are dangerous, and they make your heart feel tight, like when you're nervous before a test. You think about the city outside, where everyone has their own place, like pieces in a puzzle. You walk through the market sometimes, watching people do their jobs, and it's so different from your life. There's a baker, a man with flour on his hands, white and powdery like chalk. He kneads dough, soft and stretchy like clay, and shapes it into loaves, round and crusty like big muffins. His shop smells warm like toast, and he laughs with customers, happy to be part of the city. His job is to feed people, and he's proud, like when you finish a drawing everyone likes. You wish you could have a job like that, open and simple, but as an assassin, you're hidden like a shadow nobody sees. You see a woman in the market too, carrying a basket of yarn, colorful and soft, like a pile of scarves. She's a weaver, someone who makes cloth, and her fingers move fast, like a spider spinning a web. She sits by a wooden loom, big and creaky, like an old swing set, and weaves threads into patterns, bright and neat, like a quilt. Her job is important, making clothes and blankets, and she talks to other women, sharing stories like friends at lunch. You watch her and your chest feels heavy because you can't chat like that. Your job keeps you alone, like being the only kid who doesn't get invited to a party. The city has rules for everyone, not just you, and they depend on whether you're a boy or a girl, young or old. Men do heavy work, like building houses or guarding the streets. You see a guard, his armor shiny like a new toy, walking with a sword long and sharp like a big knife. His job is to keep the city safe, and he stands tall like a superhero, but he follows the Lord's orders like a student following a teacher. Women do different things like cooking, sewing, or taking care of kids. A mother in the square holds a baby wrapped in a cloth, soft and warm like a favorite blanket. She sings to it, her voice gentle like a lullaby, and her job is to keep her family happy like a team captain cheering everyone up. These rules are strong, like walls you can't climb over. If you're a boy, you might grow up to be a farmer planting seeds in fields, or a blacksmith hammering iron hot and red like a glowing coal. If you're a girl, you might learn to spin wool, fluffy and light like cotton candy, or bake bread warm and yeasty like a fresh roll. Kids help too, carrying water or cleaning like doing chores at home. Everyone knows their place, and it's hard to do something different, like trying to play a new game when everyone else knows the old one. You're different, though. As an assassin, you don't fit those rules, and that makes you feel far away, like standing outside a window looking in. You don't know if you're a boy or a girl because your job hides that, like wearing a costume. Sometimes you dress like a boy, with a short cloak and boots, sturdy and scuffed, like sneakers after a summer. Other times, you wear a long scarf, flowing and soft, like a dress, to blend in with women at the market. You change how you walk or talk, so nobody guesses who you are. It's like playing pretend, but all the time, and it's tiring, like acting in a play that never ends. The city's rules say boys and girls do different things, but you do what you need to survive, and that makes you feel free, but also alone, like being the only one who knows a secret. You find small moments to feel good, like tiny treasures you keep in your heart. Late at night, when the city is quiet, you climb to the roof of the tavern, the tiles cold and smooth like a frozen pond. You sit there looking at the stars, bright and twinkling like fireflies in the sky. Nobody tells you what to do up here, and for a little while, you're just you, not an assassin, not Grimm's student. It's like finding a quiet corner at school where you can read without anyone bothering you. These moments are small, but they make you smile, like finding a candy you forgot you had. Sometimes you do something kind, even though you're not supposed to. You see a kid in the street, barefoot and hungry, his eyes big, like a puppy waiting for food. You slip him a piece of bread, crusty and warm, from your bag, quick so nobody sees. He grins, and your heart feels light, like a balloon floating up. Grimm would say it's risky, but you don't care. That smile is your triumph, like scoring a goal in a game nobody knows you're playing. These little freedoms keep you going, even when your job feels heavy, like carrying a bucket that's too full. You think about Grimm again and the rules he gave you. He's not family like a dad or brother, but he's all you have, like a teacher who's always there. You remember when he first found you, a kid with no home, cold and scared, like a lost kitten. He gave you food, a dry place to sleep, and a purpose, like a map to follow. But his purpose is hard, and sometimes you wish you could run away, like a bird leaving a cage. You can't, though, because Grimm's rules are your life, and breaking them means losing everything, like forgetting the rules of a game you have to win. You stand on the tavern roof, the night air cool and soft, like a clean blanket. The city is quiet now, not loud like daytime, when carts roll and voices shout. You're an assassin, a person with a hidden job, and you love the dark because it keeps you safe, like a cozy hood. But tonight, a sound catches your ear, low and sad, like a song that makes your heart feel heavy. It's a funeral chant, coming from people walking together, saying goodbye to someone who passed away. You lean over the edge, looking down, and see torches glowing, their flames twinkling like fireflies dancing in the shadows. The group moves slowly, like kids lining up for a quiet game, but nobody giggles or talks. You see folks in cloaks, their faces half hidden, holding candles that shine like tiny lanterns in their hands. A priest leads them, his robe long and white like a fresh sheet, singing in a deep voice, steady and calm like a river flowing gently. The song is about peace, about going to a happy place, and it makes the air feel thick, like when you're sad but hold it inside. You watch from above, staying in the dark because an assassin can't join them, but you listen, and it makes you think about life, how it's short, like a flower that wilts too soon. The people stop in a wide square, where a big church stands, its walls tall and gray, like a mountain of stone. The doors are open, letting out a warm, golden light, like a fireplace in a cozy room. You climb down, quiet as a mouse, and sneak closer, hiding in an alley where the ground is wet, like after a big rain. You peek out, seeing a wooden box, plain and sturdy like a big crate. It's a coffin holding someone who died, and it's covered with white flowers, soft and fluffy, like cotton balls. The flowers give off a sweet scent like a garden in spring, but they can't hide the sorrow like when you lose something you love. The priest holds a small bowl, shiny and silver like a fancy cup, and sprinkles water, clear and sparkly like raindrops in sunlight. He speaks about God, about a place called heaven where people go after they pass, a bright land with no pain, like a perfect day that never ends. The people lower their heads, their faces still, like they're thinking deeply. A woman, maybe the person's mom, presses a cloth to her eyes, damp and crumpled like a used tissue. She places a coin, small and round like a button, on the coffin, a gift for the person's journey, like leaving a snack for a friend. You watch, your chest feeling tight, like when you're nervous before a big moment, because death is all around in this city and it's scary for someone like you. You slip back into the alley, the air cool and damp like a basement. You've seen other funerals, not just at the church but in quieter places, like a small yard behind a house. Last week you passed a group by a river, their voices soft, like a whisper in class. They stood around a pile of wood stacked neat and high, like a campfire waiting to start. It was a pyre for someone who died, and they lit it, the flames crackling like popcorn in a pan. The fire glowed orange and warm, sending smoke curling up like clouds in the sky. They sang, their voices gentle like a bedtime story, and placed herbs green and leafy like salad on the fire, making a sharp, earthy smell like a forest. It was different from the church, but it felt just as important, like saying goodbye in their own way. You walk through the city, your boots quiet on the cobblestones, smooth and cool like a playground slide. Another time, you saw a funeral in a tiny village just outside the city walls, where houses are small and made of wood, like big sheds. A family gathered in a field, the grass soft and green like a carpet. They dug a hole deep and dark like a tunnel and placed a coffin inside, wrapped in cloth, soft and white like a clean towel. They tossed in flowers, red and yellow like bright crayons, and said prayers, their voices low like a hum. A kid, maybe your age, dropped a toy, a wooden horse, small and carved like a favorite action figure, into the hole, a gift to take along. You hid behind a tree, its bark rough like sandpaper, and watched, feeling sad like when you miss someone who moved away. These moments stick with you because death is common here. People get sick, coughing and weak, like when you have a bad cold but worse. Others get hurt, falling from a cart or cut in a fight, and sometimes they don't heal. You're an assassin and you know about death more than most because your job sometimes causes it. That thought sits in your stomach, heavy like a stone, making you wonder what happens when your own time comes. You pull your cloak tighter, its wool scratchy like a stiff blanket, and keep moving, because standing still feels too scary, like waiting for something bad to happen. You find a spot on a low wall, the stone cold and smooth like a bench in a park, and think about the ways people honor the dead. In the city, funerals are full of special actions, like a play everyone knows. At the church, the priest reads from a book, big and heavy, like a dictionary, with words about God and love. His voice is slow, like a teacher reading a story, and the people listen, their hands folded, like kids waiting for instructions. They light candles, small and waxy, their flames glowing like stars in a dark room, and place them around the coffin, making a circle of light like a hug for the person inside. Sometimes they carry crosses, wooden and plain, like two sticks tied together, or shiny ones made of metal, like a new toy. The crosses mean God is watching, keeping the person safe, like a guard at a gate. Families bring gifts, not just coins, but things like bread, crusty and warm, like a fresh roll, or cloth, soft and folded, like a scarf. These gifts are for the journey to heaven, like packing a lunch for a trip. The priest sprinkles dirt on the coffin, dark and crumbly like soil from a garden, saying it's part of the earth where everyone returns, like going back home after a long day. Outside the church, in villages or poor parts of the city, rituals are simpler but still special. You saw a family once near a small chapel, its walls wooden and creaky like an old shed. They didn't have a coffin, just a body wrapped in cloth, white and clean like a bandage. They laid it in a grave, shallow and neat like a sandbox, and covered it with stones, round and smooth like river rocks. Each person placed a flower, pink and delicate like a tissue, on top, and they sang, their voices soft like a breeze. It wasn't fancy, but it felt real, like a hug you mean with all your heart. Another time, you hid in a grove where trees stood tall, their leaves rustling like paper in the wind. A group gathered around a fire, small but bright, like a campfire at night. They burned herbs, dry and green, like mint, making smoke that curled like a ribbon in the air. The smoke was supposed to carry prayers to the sky, like a letter sent to God. They tossed in small things, a ring, shiny and round, like a bracelet. A spoon, wooden and worn, like a favorite utensil, gifts for the person who died, like leaving toys for a friend. You watched, the air warm and smoky like a kitchen, and felt a quiet ache like missing someone you can't see. These rituals happen everywhere, and they're all different, like drawings in a book. In the market, you heard about a sailor's funeral, where they sent a boat, small and wooden like a toy ship, onto the river, filled with flowers and candles, glowing like a floating lantern. The boat drifted away, carrying the person's spirit like a kite soaring free. Each ritual feels like a way to say goodbye, but also a way to hold on, like keeping a picture of someone you love. You're an assassin and you don't join these moments, but you see them, and they make you think about your own life, like a story you're still writing. You walk back to the tavern, your steps slow like strolling through a park. The city believes in things you don't always understand, ideas about what happens after someone dies. Most people think about heaven, a place high above, bright and peaceful, like a sunny field with no worries. The priest talks about it, saying good people go there to live with God, like moving to a big happy house. But there's also a scary place called hell, dark and hot, like a cave with fire, where bad people go, like a punishment for breaking rules. You've heard these stories since you were little, and they stick with you like a song you can't forget. People pray to God, asking to go to heaven, and they try to be good, like doing their chores or helping neighbors. You see them in church, kneeling on the stone floor, cold and hard, like a playground pavement, their hands pressed together, like making a wish. They believe God sees everything, like a teacher watching the class and decides where they'll go. Some folks think there's a middle place called purgatory where you wait, like sitting in a hallway before getting to the best room. It's confusing and you wonder if it's true, like trying to guess the end of a book you haven't read. There are other beliefs, too, smaller ones, like secrets whispered in the dark. In the market, you heard an old woman say spirits stay in the city, floating like fog, watching their families. She hung a charm made of feathers and beads, shiny and colorful, like a craft project, over her door to keep bad spirits away, like a lock on a gate. A man in the tavern said the dead talk to you in dreams, giving advice like a note from a friend. These ideas make people careful, like when you avoid stepping on cracks in the sidewalk. They leave food like apples, red and juicy, or bread, soft and warm, by graves, so spirits feel loved, like getting a hug. You don't know what to believe because your job makes you different. As an assassin, you've caused death even if it was part of a plan, and that makes you worry, like forgetting your homework but worse. You wonder if God sees you, if heaven is for someone like you, or if you'll be alone, like a ghost nobody remembers. These thoughts come at night when you're in your room, the straw crinkling like paper and the candle glowing like a tiny sun. You try to push them away, but they linger like a shadow that follows you, making your heart feel heavy, like a bag of coins. You climb back to your room, the wooden stairs creaking like an old rocking chair. You sit on your straw bed, lumpy and scratchy like a pile of dry grass, and stare at the candle, its flame small but steady like a light you can trust. The funeral song still hums in your mind, soft and sad, like a tune you can't shake. You're an assassin, and death is close to you, closer than to most people, like a shadow that never leaves. You've seen it in your work when your dagger, sharp and cold, like a new knife, does its job. Those moments stay with you, heavy, like a bag you can't put down, and they make you think about your own end, like wondering how a story finishes. You're scared of dying, not just because it's the end, but because you might be forgot, like a drawing nobody keeps. As an assassin, you don't have a family to cry for you, no kids to tell your stories, like passing down a favorite book. Your life is secret, hidden like a note tucked in a pocket, and that makes you worry nobody will remember you. You think about the people in the procession, their candles glowing, their flowers soft, and you wonder if anyone would do that for you. It's like being the only kid not invited to a party, and it makes your heart feel tight, like a knot you can't untie. Sometimes you dream about dying and it's scary, like falling in a dark hole. In one dream, you're running, your boots slapping the cobblestones loud and fast, like a drum, but someone catches you and everything goes black, like closing your eyes tight. You wake up, your breath quick, like after a race, and you're glad it's not real. But the dream sticks like mud on your shoes, and you wonder if that's how it'll be, quick and dark, with nobody to know. You're tough because you have to be like a kid who keeps playing even when they're tired, but these thoughts make you feel small, like a mouse in a big field. You think about your job, how it's tied to death like a thread in a cloth. You don't kill for fun, but for a reason, like stopping someone bad, like a bully who hurts others. Grim, your teacher, says it's important, like fixing a broken wheel, but it doesn't feel good. Each time you do it, you feel a weight, like carrying an extra stone, and you wonder if it makes you bad, like breaking a rule you can't fix. You try to pray sometimes in the quiet of your room, the candle light soft, like a hug, asking God to understand, like explaining to a teacher why you messed up. But you're not sure if it works, and that makes you nervous, like waiting for a grade you don't know. You remember a man you saw die, not by your hand, but in the street, hit by a cart, its wheels loud like a storm. He lay there still and pale, like a doll dropped on the ground, and people gathered, their voices hushed like a secret. A woman cried, her shawl slipping, like a blanket falling off, and you watched from a corner, your cloak hiding you like a curtain. You felt sad, but also scared, because it could be you one day, lying on the stones, with nobody to cry. That thought follows you like a dog trailing behind, and it makes your job harder, like running with a heavy load. You try to be brave, like a kid standing up to a bigger one, but it's not easy. You think about hiding, leaving the city like a bird flying away, but you can't. Grim depends on you, and your job is all you know, like a game you've played forever. You wonder if dying would be easier than living like this, always scared, always alone. But then you think about the stars, bright and far, like hopes you can still reach. You want to keep going, even if it's hard, like finishing a race when your legs hurt, because stopping feels worse. You lie back on your bed, the straw poking like little needles, and look at the ceiling, wooden and worn like an old table. You think about legacy, what you'll leave behind, like a mark you make in wet sand. The city is full of people who want to be remembered, like heroes in stories. The Lord, high in his castle, builds statues tall and grand, like giants made of stone, so everyone knows his name, like a kid writing their name on a desk. Merchants save coins, shiny and round, like big pennies, to pass to their kids, like giving them a favorite toy. Even the baker, with his floury hands, white and soft like powder, hopes his bread, warm and crusty like a hug, makes people smile like a gift that lasts. But you're different. As an assassin, your work is secret, like a whisper nobody hears. You don't build things or make things, like a carpenter with his hammer, loud and strong like a drum. You don't have a shop like the weaver, her loom clacking like a toy clicking, or a family like the mother, her baby cooing like a happy bird. Your life is quiet, like a shadow moving across a wall, and that makes you wonder if you'll leave anything behind, like a footprint that fades. It's scary, like being invisible, and it makes your job feel heavy, like carrying a bucket that's too full. You try to find meaning, like looking for a lost toy. Sometimes you do something good even if it's small, like a pebble in a stream. You helped a kid once lost in the market, his eyes wet like rain on a window. You took his hand, small and warm like a mitten, and led him to his mom, her smile big like a sunny day. Nobody saw, but it felt good, like scoring a point in a game you play alone. You think maybe that's your legacy, tiny moments like stars in the daytime, there but hard to see. It's not a statue or a story, but it's yours, like a secret you keep in your heart. You think about Grim, your teacher, and what he'll leave behind. He's old, his hair gray like ash and his hands shaky like leaves in the wind. He taught you everything, like a coach showing you how to kick a ball, but he's alone like you, with no family to tell his tales. You wonder if you're his legacy, like a student carrying on a teacher's lessons. It's a big thought, like holding a heavy book, and it makes you want to do better, like trying harder in class, even if nobody notices. The city keeps moving, like a river that never stops, and you're part of it, even if you're hidden. You hear the funeral song again, faint, like a memory, and it reminds you life is short, like a candle burning low. You want to make it count, like finishing a drawing you're proud of, even if it's hard. You close your eyes, the straw soft now like a pillow, and let the city's quiet wrap around you like a warm hug. You're an assassin, and your life is tough, but you keep going. Like a kid who never gives up, hoping one day someone will remember you, like a light that never goes out. You sit in the corner of a tavern, the air warm and thick, like a cozy blanket on a chilly night. The room glows with soft light from candles, their flames flickering like tiny stars on a table. You're an assassin, a person with a hidden job, and you come here to listen, not to talk. The tavern is noisy, like a school cafeteria at lunch, with voices mixing, loud and soft, like a song with many parts. You pull your cloak close, its wool rough like a scratchy towel, and keep your hood up, hiding your face like wearing sunglasses to blend in. People sit at wooden tables, worn and shiny, like desks used for years. They drink from mugs, heavy and clay, like big cups, filled with ale, frothy and sour, like bubbly juice gone bad. A man laughs, his voice booming like a drum, telling a story about a knight who ran away from a fight. Another person, a woman with a scarf, leans close, her voice low, like a whisper in class, saying the Lord's helper stole gold, shiny and round, like new coins. You listen, your ears sharp, like a cat hearing a mouse, because these bits of talk, these rumors, are important in your job, like clues in a game. The tavern smells of smoke and bread, warm and toasty, like a campfire with food. A fire crackles in a stone hearth, its logs popping like cereal in milk, sending sparks up like little fireflies. You sip water from a cup, cool and clear like a stream, because you need to stay alert, like a kid watching for the teacher. A group nearby chats about a ship that sank, its wood creaking like a broken toy, and they wonder if pirates hid treasure, sparkling and heavy like a box of jewels. You tilt your head, catching every word, because some gossip is true, like finding a right answer, but some is wrong, like a made-up story. You move to another spot, near a window, its glass cloudy like a foggy mirror. Outside, the street is dark, with only a few torches glowing like distant candles. Inside, a merchant, his coat dusty like a rug, talks about a stranger seen near the castle, sneaky and quiet like a shadow. He says the stranger might be a spy, someone who watches and tells secrets like a kid passing notes. Your heart beats faster like a rabbit running because you're a secret keeper too, and talk like this could be dangerous, like getting caught in a game of tag. You hear more like pieces of a puzzle. A woman says the baker's son ran off to be a soldier, his boots loud like stomping feet, leaving his family sad like when a friend moves away. A man whispers about a guard who took a bribe, a bag of coins clinking like marbles to let a thief go free. These stories float around like leaves on a stream, and you try to sort them like picking the best crayons. Some are just talk like gossip about who likes who, but others might help you, like knowing where to hide on a mission. The tavern door swings open, creaking like an old gate, and a cold breeze slips in, sharp like a winter morning. A new voice joins, rough like gravel, saying the Lord plans a big feast with tables full of food like a giant picnic. You listen because a feast means crowds, noisy and busy like a school fair, and crowds are good for your job like a perfect hiding spot. You stay until the voices fade, like a song ending, and slip out, quiet as a breeze, your mind full of whispers like a notebook stuffed with ideas. You walk through the city, the cobblestones cool and bumpy like a rocky path. The night is quiet, with only a few sounds, a dog barking short and sharp like a clap, a cart rolling, its wheels squeaking like a toy needing oil. You're an assassin and you need truth, not just gossip, because truth keeps you safe, like a map in a maze. The tavern gave you hints like clues in a treasure hunt, but you need more, something real like a book with the right answers. You head to a place where knowledge lives, a small building near the church made of stone, gray and strong like a big rock. It's a scriptorium where monks write books, their pens scratching like pencils on paper. You've been here before, sneaking in when it's dark, because monks know things like teachers who study all day. The door is wooden, heavy and creaky like a barn gate, and you push it open, slow and careful, like opening a present quietly. Inside, the air smells of ink, sharp and dark like a marker, and parchment, dry and dusty like old paper. Candles glow, their light soft like a nightlight, showing tables piled with scrolls rolled and yellow like tubes of wrapping paper. A monk sits, his robe brown and loose like a big shirt, copying words, his hand moving steady like a clock ticking. You stay in the shadows, your cloak blending like a curtain, because you can't be seen, like hiding in a game. You look for a scroll one Grimm your teacher told you about, with secrets about the city like a guidebook. You find it, tucked in a corner, its edges frayed like a worn towel. You unroll it, careful, like opening a fragile toy, and see tiny writing, neat and black like ants marching. It talks about the Lord's plans, meetings in the castle, quiet and sneaky, like a club nobody knows about. Your eyes scan fast, like reading a note before it's taken, because this truth is gold, like finding the best hiding spot. But you hear a sound, a cough, dry and quick like a snap, and freeze, your heart thumping like a drum. The monk looks up, his eyes narrow like a teacher spotting trouble. You slip the scroll back, soft as a whisper, and move to the door, your boots silent like tiptoes. Outside, the air is cold like a fridge, and you breathe deep, glad to escape, like winning a close race. The scroll's words stay in your mind, like a song you remember, but getting them was risky, like sneaking a cookie from a jar. Another time, you visit a woman, a scribe who writes letters, her shop small, with walls of wood warm and smooth like a desk. She knows things like a librarian, and you ask about a name from the tavern gossip, pretending to be a messenger like a kid running errands. She talks, her voice calm like a bedtime story, saying the name belongs to a trader, sneaky and rich like a kid with too many toys. You nod, storing the truth like saving a good idea, and leave, your cloak flapping like a flag in the wind. Seeking truth is hard, like solving a puzzle with missing pieces. You have to be clever like a detective and careful because knowing too much can get you caught, like being seen in hide and seek. You move through the city, your steps light like a feather, always watching like a hawk, because truth is your tool, but also your danger, like a sharp knife you have to hold just right. You climb the stairs to your room, each step squeaking like an old toy. The air is cool, with a whiff of straw, dry and earthy like a barn. You sit on your bed, lumpy and pokey like a sack of twigs, and think about secrets, the things you know that nobody else can. You're an assassin, and secrets are your work, like coins you collect, but they're also heavy like chains around your ankles, keeping you stuck like a kid who can't run free. You pull out a tiny paper, folded tight like a note passed in class, hidden in your cloak, soft and worn like an old shirt. It's a message from Grim, your teacher, written in code with funny shapes like a secret language. You light a candle, its glow warm like a hug, and study the paper, your eyes squinting like reading small print. The shapes mean words like a puzzle, and you figure them out, slow and careful, like building a model. It says to watch a merchant, sneaky and loud, like a kid who brags because he's planning something bad, like a prank that hurts. You hide the paper in a crack in the wall, small and dark, like a mouse hole, because secrets can't be found, like a toy you don't share. You have other tools for secrets, like a pouch, leather and smooth, like a wallet, sewn inside your cloak, where you keep notes or coins, quiet and safe, like a locked box. Sometimes you use a knife, thin and sharp, like a pencil point, to carve tiny marks on wood, like a code nobody sees, telling you where to meet Grim, like a map only you understand. Keeping secrets is tricky, like balancing on a log. You can't tell anyone, not even a friend, because there are no friends in your job, like being the only kid in a game. You have to remember everything, like a test you can't study for, and mix truth with lies, like telling a story that's half real. Once you told a guard you were a baker's helper, carrying flour white and powdery like snow to hide a message, rolled and tiny like a straw. He believed you, his eyes bored like a teacher not paying attention, and you walked away, your heart racing like after a close call. Secrets are your power, like a magic trick, letting you know things others don't, like having the answers to a quiz. You use them to plan missions, like sneaking into a house, quiet and dark like a cave, or passing warnings to Grim like a note in a bottle. But they trap you too, like a net, because you can't trust anyone, like playing a game where everyone might cheat. Now you wonder if the merchant's plan is true, or if Grimm's message is a test, like a teacher checking your work, and it makes your head hurt, like thinking too hard. You lie back, the straw crinkling like paper, and stare at the ceiling, wooden and rough like a tree trunk. Secrets keep you alive, but they make you tired, like carrying a heavy bag all day. You want to share them, like telling a friend a joke, but you can't, because one wrong word could ruin everything, like dropping a glass that breaks. You close your eyes, the candlelight fading like a sunset, and let the quiet wrap you like a soft scarf. Hopping tomorrow's secrets are easier to hold, like a lighter load. You wake up, the morning light slipping through a crack in the window, pale and gentle, like a flashlight under a blanket. You pull on your cloak, heavy and warm like a coat, and head to the market, where the city's knowledge lives, like a big library with no walls. The streets are busy, like a playground at recess, with voices shouting like kids calling to friends. You're an assassin, and you need to know what people say, because their words are your map, like directions in a new place. The market smells of apples, sweet and juicy, like candy, and fish, salty and sharp, like the sea. Stalls line the square, wooden and sturdy like tables at a fair, piled with goods, bread crusty and brown like a big cookie, cloth soft and colorful like a rainbow, pots shiny and round like new bowls. Merchants call out, their voices loud like a bell, offering deals like kids trading toys. You walk slow, your boots tapping like a soft drum, listening to the chatter like catching bits of a radio. A woman selling eggs, white and smooth like pebbles, talks about a traveler who brought news like a letter from far away. She says a king in another land is sick, weak and pale like a ghost, and people worry like when a teacher is absent. You pause, pretending to look at her eggs, shiny and neat like marbles, but really you're soaking in her words like a sponge. News like this could matter, like a hint in a mystery, because a sick king might change things, like a new rule at school. Nearby, a man with a cart, creaky and old like a wagon, sells herbs, green and leafy like salad. He whispers to a customer, his voice low like a secret, saying a monk found an old book, dusty and thick like a heavy box, with strange writing like a code. You lean closer, your cloak brushing a stall, soft like a curtain, because old books might hold truths like a treasure map. The man doesn't see you, his eyes on his herbs, fragrant and sharp like mint, and you file the story away, like saving a note for later. The city loves stories, like kids love games. In a tavern you hear songs, loud and jolly like a party, about heroes, brave and strong like superheroes. They're not always true like a tall tale, but people sing them, their mugs raised like cheering at a game. Monks in the church write books, their pens scratching like chalk on a board, keeping records of the Lord's laws, strict and clear like school rules. The scribes in shops copy letters, their ink black and wet like paint, spreading news like a newsletter for the city. But truth is hard to find, like a lost toy in a messy room. People twist stories like bending a stick, making them bigger or smaller, like exaggerating a fish you caught. A merchant might say he saw a dragon, scaly and fierce like a dinosaur, to sound important, like a kid showing off. You have to be smart, like a detective, picking the real from the fake, like choosing the right answer on a test. You watch the people, their faces happy or snaky, like actors in a play, and listen, because even lies hold clues like a hint in a riddle. You leave the market, the noise fading like a radio turned down, and head back to your room, the air cool like a fall day. The city's knowledge is alive, like a river flowing, and you're part of it, catching drops like rain in a bucket. But it's tiring, like studying all night, because every whisper could help or hurt, like a step in a tricky dance. You keep moving, your heart steady like a clock, knowing truth is your key, but also your cage, like a door you can't open. You sit in your room, the floor creaking like an old swing. The candle burns low, its light dim like a fading star, and the straw on your bed rustles like dry leaves. You're an assassin, and secrets are your life, like air you breathe, but they weigh you down like a heavy coat you can't take off. You think about the gossip, the scroll, the coded note, each one a piece of a puzzle, like a game you have to win, but it's not fun, like a test that never ends. The secrets make you strong, like a shield in a fight, letting you know things, like having a map others don't. You know the merchant's plan, the lord's meeting, the trader's tricks, like answers to questions nobody asks. These help you plan, like drawing a path through a maze, keeping you one step ahead, like a kid who knows the rules better. But they also trap you like a net, because you can't share them, like a story you love but can't tell. You're alone like a kid on a team with no teammates, and that makes your heart feel heavy, like a stone sinking in water. You worry about betrayal, like a friend telling your secret. What if Grimm tricks you, his eyes sharp like a fox, sending you into danger like a trap in a game? What if the scribe guesses who you are, her smile kind but curious, like a teacher asking too many questions? You can't trust anyone, like playing where everyone might be against you, and it makes you tired, like running all day. You check your hiding spots, the crack in the wall, the pouch in your cloak, making sure your secrets are safe, like locking a diary. Sometimes you want to stop, to live like the baker, his hands floury like snow, making bread warm and soft like a hug. He doesn't hide, his shop open like a classroom, and people like him, like a kid everyone wants to play with. But you can't, because secrets are your job, like homework you can't skip. You think about the merchant, the one Grimm wants you to watch, and wonder if he's bad, like a bully, or just someone with his own secrets, like you. It's confusing, like a story with no end, and it makes your head ache, like thinking too long. You remember a time you almost got caught, your heart pounding like a hammer. You were in an alley, dark and narrow like a tunnel, passing a note, small and folded like a napkin, to a contact, quiet and hooded like a ghost. A guard walked by, his armor clanking like keys, and you froze, your breath held like waiting underwater. He passed, his boots loud like stomping, and you were safe, like winning a close game, but the fear stayed like a bad dream. The secrets bring that fear every day, like a shadow you can't shake. You lie down, the straw poking like little sticks, and close your eyes, the candlelight fading like a sunset. You think about truth, how it's rare like a shiny rock in a stream, and how you chase it like a kid after a butterfly. But it's heavy like carrying a big book, and it makes your job hard like climbing a hill with no top. You're an assassin, tied to secrets like a kite on a string, and they keep you going, but also hold you back, like a door you can't open. You let the quiet of the night wrap you, like a soft blanket, and hope tomorrow's truths are kinder, like a gentle breeze. You sit in a dark alley, the stones cold and damp like a wet towel. The city hums far away, with voices and carts like a busy playground, but here it's quiet, like a classroom after school. You're an assassin, a person with a secret job, and you spend most of your time alone, like a kid playing hide-and-seek with no one to find you. Your cloak wraps around you, heavy and rough, like a stiff blanket, keeping you hidden like a curtain in a game. The alley smells of mud and old wood, earthy and sharp, like a garden after rain. You lean against a wall, its bricks bumpy like a rocky hill, and listen to the silence, broken only by a drip of water, soft and steady like a clock ticking. Your job makes you stay in shadows, moving quiet like a cat on a fence, because being seen could mean trouble, like getting caught cheating on a test. You're used to it, but it feels heavy, like carrying a big bag all day. You have a small room above a tavern where the floor creaks like an old chair and straw covers the ground, prickly like dry grass. It's your safe place, like a fort you built, but it's lonely, like eating lunch by yourself. You keep your things there, a dagger, shiny and sharp, like a new pencil, a rope, coiled and rough, like a jump rope, a candle, small and waxy, like a birthday light. You light the candle at night, its glow soft like a hug, and sit, thinking, because there's no one to talk to, like a kid with no friends at recess. Your days are quiet, filled with secret tasks, like homework nobody knows about. You sneak through the city, your boots soft, like slippers, avoiding guards, their armor clinking, like keys in a pocket. You climb walls, your hands gripping stone, cold and hard like a playground bar, and hide on roofs, the tiles cool like a frozen pond. Each move is careful, like playing a game where one mistake means you lose, and it makes you tired, like running all day. You don't go to markets or taverns like others, where people laugh, their voices loud like a party. You watch from far away, like looking through a window, seeing families hug, like teammates after a win, or friends share bread, crusty and warm, like a snack. You want that, like wanting to join a game, but your job says no, like a teacher saying stay in your seat. You're alone, and it feels like a big, empty space, like a field with no one else. Sometimes you talk to Grim, your teacher, his voice gruff like a dog barking. He's not family, but he's all you have, like a coach who pushes you hard. You meet in dark, you walk through the market, the air bright and busy like a school fair. Stalls are everywhere, wooden and sturdy like tables, piled with